It's not always about getting that job that you want, because that job that you want can give you those answers that you need. It seems like cotton is winning, which I'm happy about. It's actually got a lot of stretch to it going this way, times by 4. So this is a really beautiful suede. I'm going to be making a fabric folder, and essentially this is going to have swatches of the fabrics I have at home, so I can get a rough idea of how much meters I have left of that particular one, and also what the fabric is made from, whether that's cotton, viscose, so that I can keep on top of it. And yeah, I've kind of made quite a few of these templates, and then I've stapled a swatch. So this is focusing on suede and leather, and then I need to fill it in and write down exactly the meters left. So this is a really good example. The first one we have cotton and viscose mix, and it's 146 on the grain line and 110 centimeters long. So that already gives me an idea of what I can make with sort of little fabric, really. I could potentially make a top or some shorts, but it might have to be cropped or slightly smaller, just because it isn't too much. Whereas something like the bottom, I have quite a nice amount of that, almost 3 meters, which means I can make maybe a jacket, a longer jacket, and that's made from cotton. That's got really lovely detailing, like stitching line. Slightly harder to see on camera. So essentially that's it. I'm going to measure out what I have now. I put everything in a bin bag. I'm sort of moving it and taking it out and transferring it into like a nice clear IKEA zip up bag, so that kind of makes it easier for me to find it. And if I can keep the cottons all together with the wools maybe, and the suedes and leathers with maybe like print, that will make things easier, just so I know where things are when it comes to coming up with some of my projects. I get to just sort of look quickly into this folder, but also I'll know exactly which bag it's in, and I could just write a little note like bag 1, and that'll make it easier for me to find. So to get this done efficiently, I've got my mechanical pencil, I've got my stapler, I've got my fabric scissors, not my paper scissors, those shouldn't really be mixed together. I've got my eraser, and I've got the most important thing, the measuring tape. So I'm going to find the gradient line on my fabric. I've actually folded this up, I think 3 times, just so that there's enough space for it to be on the table, and I can measure it and just, like, you know, triple it, you know, when it comes to calculating how much is on there. I'm going to measure on both ends. 114.2, but I'm just going to round it to 114, and I'm going to write that straight down under the cotton category. And there you have it. So I've not necessarily done it in colour code, but it seems as though I have. But you essentially have the cotton list here, and that will just make it easier when it comes to finding something that uses natural fibres. The whole point of me doing this is because of an experience I had doing an internship trial shift. When you do an internship and possibly you don't get the offer, that's not to say you don't have the skills, because in fact you do. I'm sure you're in a position where you're studying or you're working projects from home. It's just really about how you are effectively putting out your work so that the skill sets that they're looking for aligns with what you show on the portfolio. But anyway, from that trial shift, I went and did all the things it asked. I enjoyed it, and what I noticed is that they had their fabric folder, and that was really key for me, because I sort of looked and saw how they templated out their pages, and they just kept it really simple. but it made life a lot easier for them. So that's actually what I took from that internship. So this is a really beautiful suede that I will need to measure now, and as you can slightly see that the edges aren't going straight because it's an animal fabric and it's leather. You can't exactly get that perfect finish because each and every item is different, and yeah, some of it's like a really beautiful colour, and then on the edges the colour has like changed, but overall I can gauge by doing like a rectangular shape in the middle, telling me like basically overall what I can use. Again, the extra bits are almost like extra, like, you know, it's like luck. I've got extra bits, so in case I need to move around my pattern when I make something, I've got that. Those edges, that will give me a bit more flexibility. This is a really lovely fabric. I love the blue and the red combined. It's a checkered print. It's actually got a lot of stretch to it going this way against the gradient line. I have to actually have a think about what I can make with it, because I could see it as like a cord, like I'm envisioning like a jacket, almost like a bomber style jacket, and then having these like smaller little shorts with like really fun pockets. I could see that. That's what I'm envisioning. So, times by 4. I think I'm going to flip it because there's less on the other side and I can't see with what I'm working on. Okay, I have a lot less than I thought. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just estimate it with you. Let's go with this length here. This page is actually going to be focusing on prints because, one, I'm not certain what composition it is, but also they're quite strong prints, so I think they can get away with being on their own page. Overall, I think I'm going to have quite a jam-packed folder, which is really good because it means that I have a variety of different materials or fabrics to choose from. It seems like cotton is winning, which I'm happy about, over polyester. When I went to actually one of the fabric shops in London Fields, they burnt the fabric, and when you burn, let's say like a natural fibre, you can smell almost what he described, the guy that worked there, as a farm, and that was quite right. It had like a much more earthier smell, whereas like a polyester fabric, when you burn that, you can just sort of smell like burnt plastic, because essentially that's what it is, it's plastic. Again, with the suede and leather, you'll get that sort of earthy smell because it's a natural fibre. I think overall I've made a good judgment of what the materials are. It's not always about getting that job that you want, because that job that you want can give you those answers that you need to really start to organise things in your own hands from what you have already, so that when it comes to one day getting an internship or getting your fashion studio or working on a project, you already have those things in order, from visually seeing how design brands and design houses, couture brands, various other independent brands, you know, how each of them have their own ways of doing things. So that was really helpful, and that was actually a smaller independent brand that are doing really well, and just even being in their studios, seeing how organised they were, that was a real good moment for me to sort of see that and make my own judgment on how I'd like to be organised with the resources I have around me, so that was very helpful. But yeah, not sure how long this video was actually, but hopefully it was long enough to be useful. But yeah, see you.